Like, oh, who's my favorite student? Sadly, it's not you. It's good old Anne. She gets everything right. So the way these are going to work is going to be 2 marks each. You're going to get a half mark for finding the original equation correctly, half mark for rewriting the equation correctly, half mark for the numbers, half mark for the answer. In other words, the only time I'll get grumpy is if you leave something completely blank. You're throwing away part marks. Always try and write something down. So number 1, it's giving me VF, VI, A, and T. Which equation has a VF, a VI, an A, and a T? Well, good old VF equals VI plus AT. Now it looks like it wants me to get the T by itself. Okay, I can do that. Neha, how am I going to do that? What's going to drop down like a domino? No, the T is going to, so this is really important. Whatever we're trying to get by itself, we're not touching it. It's going to stay where it is. We're going to move all the other stuff around. What side is the T on? The right side. So what's going to drop down like a domino? Yes. Good. Then what? Yep, you got this. You got this. Good. Then what? Yes. Well done. So I would give you a half mark if I saw that. I would give you a half mark if I saw that. Then I would give you a half mark for the numbers. It looks like VF is 24.6 minus 3.2 all over 2.5. And then I have no idea what the answer is, and this isn't one that I can do in my head. Brackets around the top, because there's more than one thing on the top. Yes. 24.6 minus 3.2. Do I need brackets around the bottom, Neha? Divided by 2.5. Do y'all get 8.56? Units, it's time. Good. If you forgot the units or had the wrong units, pause for a second. So the way I would mark these then, again, I would give you a half mark for the correct equation, a half mark for the rewrite, a half mark for the numbers, and a half mark for the answer. It'll be that for the rest of the way, so I'm not going to show you that from now on. Question? What if you got straight to here? You would get 1 mark because you would have obviously found the correct equation and done this. And that's my goal to get you to. If you're already there, great. And I'll start nudging you that way over the next couple of days is, well, that's on my green sheet. Why do I need to rewrite that? But on the first one, I do just so kids can see which equation we're using because you're still kind of figuring this out. Is that all right? If you forget the units, I would take a half mark off. What that really means is you can get the wrong answer and still get 1.5 out of 2. And the answer really, Jake, I don't care that much about the answer. I care very much about the process to get there. Okay? Number 2. Hey, Jake, which equation? Yep. I need to get the D by itself. Bonus, it already is, so you would get, Andrew, 1 whole mark for that because you found the correct equation and you didn't need to rewrite it, so yay. Now it's going to be plug in the numbers. It's going to be negative 8.5. I guess we started out going backwards or downwards, depending on what our frame of reference is. 19 plus 0.5 times 2.5 times 19. Don't forget the squared, Mr. Dewick. Negative 8.5 times 19 plus 0.5 times 2.5 times. All of you, I think, have good enough calculators that you can just type that in one line and go straight to the answer. It'll do the bedmass for you. 289.75. I'm going to go to 3 sig figs, so I guess, is that right? People are, yeah? So I guess I'm going to write this as 290. Units, Jake, it's a distance or a displacement. Technically, it's a displacement. Yeah. Starting to see why I said it's worth memorizing what units go with what, okay? And hopefully you're at the stage now where it's just kind of happened. Good. Number 3. Oh, Nick, which equation? Nick, which equation? Yep, same equation we just used. Now this one is a little bit trickier because they want us to get the VI by itself. Okay, talk me through it. Or just tell me what you wrote on the next line. VI equals. Yep. Yes, keep going, keep going. Yep. The D would drop down like a domino. Then you do your adding and subtracting minus the 0.58 t squared. And I think you're all okay flipping between a 1/2 and a 0.5. They're interchangeable. And then divide by the t. We do our bad mass, or multiplication and division last. It's reverse bad mass. So it's going to be negative 70 minus 0.5 times negative 4.8. I guess we're slowing down or accelerating backwards. 24 squared, all divided by 24. Definitely brackets around the top. Yes, Nick? Or the fancy schmancy fraction button. Don't forget the squared, Mr. Dewick. Make sure you type that in correctly. Close off the top, divided by 24. Did we all get 54.7, I guess, if I round off properly? Okay. Units, Nick. It's a velocity. Yep. Good. 2 marks. Cool, 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 cool. Ethan, which equation for number 4? Yep. You getting the hang of finding the equations, right? I think hopefully most of you are starting to reach the point, because I've thrown a bunch of practice at you, where your brain almost just has the correct equation pop into your head. You look in the right place. It's not as much searching as you just kind of go there. You'll start to find that over the next couple of days, I hope. What are we trying to get by itself? The VF. Is the VF by itself, Ethan? I disagree. You know what's by itself? A VF squared. So, talk to me. Opposite of squaring, and I said I'm fine if you just go like that. That's enough work. It's going to be 28, don't forget the squared, plus 2 times 9.8. Hey, that's 1G times 152. For my calculator, because I don't have the fancy schmancy fraction button, and I don't have the square root little inset that it does, for a long square root, I type what's inside the square root first. And then I go square root answer button. Or if I want to do it in one line, it would be square root bracket 28 squared plus 2 times 9.8 times 152 close bracket. Also gets you 61.3. Units, Ethan? Yeah. Okay. Number 5. Ooh. Joseph, which equation? How would you get the A by itself? VF squared minus VI squared. Yep. Yep. So it's going to be 22 squared. We're slowing down because VF is 22 and VI is 40. I'm going to get a negative acceleration. I won't freak out. If I do get a negative acceleration, I probably did it right. So I'm always looking at what my numbers mean, right? All over 2 times 96. I get 22 squared minus 40 squared divided by bracket 2 times 96. You get negative 5.81. I'll go negative 5.81. Units, Joseph. Good. 6, 7, and 8. I kicked it up a notch. So number 6, the equation is D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. Why can't you get the T by itself in this equation? There's 2 of them. So right now, until you learn the quadratic formula, which many of you haven't yet seen, and because we're on semester, if you're not taking Math 11 this semester, you won't see it. The only way I can ask you to get the t by itself, Jake, is if either vi is 0 or a is 0. Either this or this has to be 0 so that one of these terms cancels. By the way, remember our distracted driving activity where you were all yelling at each other? There, A was 0, and that's why you were able to go D equals VT. I didn't even call it initial. I just called it D equals VT, but that's what you use for the distracted driving activity. Here, in this particular equation, VI is 0, and so we can cross that out, and we get a modified equation. The D still stays where it is, and then I usually write this as AT squared over 2 instead of 1/2 AT squared, because putting a 1 there isn't going to make a difference. 1 times anything is just the same thing. And I think, Danica, that looks prettier. Now I can get the t by itself, because there's just 1. Danica, how would I get the t by itself? How would I move the a over? Not yet. Reverse BEDMAS. We'll do, since normally you do exponents first, we'll do exponents last, square root last. How will I move the a over? What's the a doing to the t? Okay. How will I move this 2 over? How will I get rid of a squared? Now I will. And so I'll rewrite this just so you can see the final form. It's the square root of 2 times d over a. When does that occur? When vi is 0. We're going to be doing an activity today where you're going to be dropping an object, and whenever you drop an object, you know what vi is while it's still in your hand? 0. You'll use this equation to calculate the time of falling, or to find something like that, okay? It's going to be 2 times 240 divided by 10. That's 40. It's going to be just under 7, yeah? Square root of 48. 6.93 units. Good. Okay. Always get in the habit, and you'll notice I do that on the final step. That's always my check. Good habit to develop. Write your answer. Units. Because that's throwing away silly marks if you forget units on a test. And I will ding you. Verizon, right? Okay. Shane, which equation in number 7? Or as we like to say, bracket VI plus VF. Keep going. And we're trying to get the what? The t by itself. Okay. What's the 2 doing to the t? So, the d drops down like a domino. What's the bracket doing to the t? So, divide the whole bracket. I didn't do one like that with you, but I wanted to see if you could have the aha moment yourself. Yeah, it's got to follow the same approach. It's going to be that. And I'll put the t equals there. Mr. Duick, you didn't put a bracket around the VI plus VF. Is that a fraction? Is there more than one thing on the bottom? The brackets are implied, which is why when I go to my calculator, I do have to put them in. But you don't have to handwrite them if you don't want to. Math nerds know that there's an implied bracket there. So now it's going to be 2 times 2,400 divided by 5.5 plus 20. Shane, is there more than one thing on the top? Brackets around the top. Is there more than one thing on the bottom? See, I told you. Brackets around the bottom. I have no idea what the answer is here. 188.2, 188 if I go to 3 sig figs. Is that right? Yeah, people nodding? Units, Shane. Good. Last one, Daniel, which equation? See, you guys see some of the brackets? Keep going. And this time we're trying to get something inside the brackets by itself. Inside the what? We'll deal with inside the brackets last. It's reverse BEDMAS. Talk to me, Daniel. The D drops down like a domino. Yes? How will I move the t over? Yep. You can see there's sort of Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs in the equation that kind of tell you what to do next. Just always doing the reverse operation and reverse BEDMAS. How will I move the 2 over? Yep. Now we've taken care of those, and because we've gotten rid of everything outside of the brackets are now no longer useful. How will I move the VF over? And it's going to be outside the fraction like that, not inside the fraction. That's VI. So it's going to be 2 times 120 divided by 12 minus 24. Well, this one I can do in my head because 120 divided by 12 is 10. So it's 2 times 10. It's 20. Take away 24. Is it negative 4? I hope it's negative 4. Yes? If you didn't put the 0.00, I won't freak out, but I just have the habit of going to 3 sig figs, and that reminds me that, oh yeah, those zeros are significant, so I'm good with that. Units, Daniel? Good. So 2 marks for each one that you got right, and I showed you how to give out the part marks. You can give yourself a lovely score out of 16 at the top, but if you need to lawyer with me, now is the time.